The Redeemed Christian Church of God, RCCG. A brief history. The Reverend Josiah Akindayomi, an estranged prophet and apostle in the Cherubim and Seraphim, CS, Church, founded the RCCG-Born in 1909. Josiah became a traditional healer before converting to the Church Missionary Society, CMS, in 1927. After 4 years in the CMS, he joined the just-established CS movement in 1931. Josiah was literate in Yoruba but not in English. He rose to the rank of prophet and apostle in the CS, but formed a small band of followers around him called Egbe Ogo Oluwa, the Glory of God Fellowship. In 1952, he had some problems with the leadership of the CS movement and was consequently excommunicated for insubordination to authority. He transformed his small band into a church and changed the name to the Redeemed Christian Church of God, claiming that it was a name divinely revealed to him. The church grew slowly, and when Josiah died in November 1980 there were 39 small parishes, all in Lagos and its environs, with a total membership of less than 1,000. Before the founder died, however, he nominated a university teacher, Enoch Adajer Adeboye, with a doctorate degree in mathematics, as his successor. Adeboye had only spent 7 years as a member of this church, and was himself only 39 years old when he took over the reins of power in January 1981. Some older pastors of the church felt shortchanged by the founder's action and the church splintered into factions. After a period of turbulence, the new leader set before himself the task of turning around the fortunes of a church that was aptly described by one of its senior pastors as a tribal church in order to underscore the import of the transformation that the new leader introduced. It is necessary to describe the type of congregations he inherited. The parishes of the RCCG in the 1970s and early 1980s, later called the classical parishes, were the holiness type of congregations with the posture of a pietistic movements. Thus, it was forbidden for women to wear trousers, earrings, face makeups, or visit the hairdressing salons to style their hair. They had to cover their hair during services or whenever they were in the church premises. In addition, they were not allowed to ride on motorcycles, for this was adjudged unworthy of a Christian sister. The founder of the church considered it unworthy of a Christian sister to indulge in any of these activities. There was a strict dress code for all who came into the church's premises. The congregations of the church were very small and were located at the back streets of Lagos and its environs. Services were conducted in Yoruba with translations into English in some parishes. Electronic instruments and bands as well as local drums were forbidden. Virtually all worshippers were wrapped in tears and groaning in prayer. The weekly crying service sessions earned the classical parishes the nickname of Ijo Elikan, meaning, the weeping church. Another significant feature of the pre-1980 RCCG was the church's attitude to money. It took no collection of offerings during services. The leader-founder of the church believed that money should not separate people from God. The principal source of its revenue, according to the son of the founder, was the collection of tithe or gifts from members. Adherence to a strict ethic led to the screening of members' occupations to ensure that they conformed to an approved list of economic activities. Members were not allowed to take up employment in alcohol or tobacco producing, distributing or marketing companies, the armed forces and police. According to the founder's deputy, these activities were considered to be at variance with the doctrines of the church. These parishes represented an apocalyptical, or rather, prophetic, movement as they prepared and waited for the coming of the end of the world which the parousia would herald. Made up of mainly disempowered and uneducated members, the church saw itself as a pilgrim movement, just passing through this vale of tears, in the world but not of the world, and so, not loving the things of this world, for it is passing away, but the love of God abides forever. 1 John 2 verse 15 to 17. Aside from the challenges of schism, Adeboye faced many other problems, some of which were, the doctrines and practices of the church alienated the youth, hence, the church became a church of elderly people, a bundle of people who were in the main illiterates, people who were not educated in a modern way. The church was poor and for many years could hardly raise enough money to pay the meager salaries of its clergy. The church was seen as socially and economically unprogressive, particularly concerning the prohibition of certain types of occupations, because of all the above, the church was having difficulty attracting and keeping well-educated, young, upwardly mobile professional. In response to the above situation, the new leader set out to alter the structures and social character of the church. However, he met with entrenched resistance to change from an older group of pastors and members who had a rigid understanding of church life. Rather than risk a possible rebellion by both his pastors and followers, Attaboy in 1988 created a new type of parish and called it the Model Parish. The new parishes, in contrast to the older ones, permitted all the things that were previously outlawed. In addition, they were located at such strategic but profane places as hotels, nightclubs, cinema halls, highbrow city centers and other places where worldly people were found. Prospective members were instructed to come as you are, for the Lord will touch you as we minister to you. Let them come to Jesus as they are, whatever the painting on their heads or faces or on their hair, whatever the disposition or garments they are putting on. At the end of the day, when God is through with them, their lives would be changed. Rather than say they should not enter the church. Unlike the classical parishes, services in the model parishes were and still are accompanied by electronic musical instruments and Western drums and band and conducted mainly in English with no translation into Yoruba. The vision behind the model parishes, according to a senior pastor of the church, was to reach the younger folk, graduates, upwardly mobile executives, which the older folk, meaning the classical parishes, could not have done due to a lot of limitations. Through the model parishes, the church started taking offerings during services. Gradually, the church was monetized through increased financial demands on its members in the form of tithes, fees and levies, offerings of many kinds, thanksgiving, free will, seeds, offerings, etc. and donations. These two types of parishes still coexist. While classical parishes emphasize holiness, the model parishes emphasize modernity, prosperity, and exhibit images of wealth as an index of grace and salvation. They symbolize what is best in the material world, bring home to people such icons of high modernity as new media and global consumption appetites, modern forms of packaging and marketing of religious services and products. The success which is usually attributed to the model parishes could be construed as a lowering of the strict standards that govern the conduct of personal life in classical parishes. Removing restrictions over membership acted like a discount on a purchase. It stimulated and sustained demand. The people who trooped into the church were taught overtime to increase their expenditure, time, conviction and commitment in the cause of the church. Members of the model parishes are in the main influential, border-spanning networkers, mobile middle-class men and women who crisscross Nigerian society and try to extend their connections all over Africa and the world. The rapid increase and expansion of the model parishes soon became the driving force for the local multiplication of parishes as well as the founding of parishes in Europe and North America. The dynamics generated through the model parishes aptly captures Rosabeth Moss Cantor's 1995 for trends of the processes of globalization, viz., mobility, simultaneity, bypass and pluralism. The question now would be, are the classical and model parishes acceptable to God? Is this not double standard in one church? May God give his people understanding. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Please like and subscribe for more inspired content as this. Do have a great day.